All right, we're recording another chat tournament. This one is going to have 12 players in it, so there's going to be a bye in the first round and a three-way finals. The first rule set is a level 4 all rules not meaning same wall or elemental, because those are either irrelevant or poor. I'll put up the rule set. I have Dalamar in the first round. There is Sir Smokes versus Crescent, Zero versus Loon, Reddick versus Sachi, Doomtrain versus Dr. Jackson, and Koner gets the bye, which is a player very likely to have won their first round, but also a player who says they might have to leave early. So I think it would be funny if they missed the round they'd get to play. I have apparently failed to make the game properly. One of the great challenges. Did not click level 4. I think that's what I missed. Looks good. We'll put up. He was already up. Good luck. And we will also poke open all the other games. I didn't know Sachi was Elemental Princess. Okay, should probably figure out a move. So let's look at their directional strengths. They have a 6 up, a 6 to the right, a 7 down, though no second good number down, if we count 7s and 6s as the good numbers, and a 6 to the left. So no obvious directional weakness there. I notice in my hand I have kind of 2 redundant corners for 1 to start off the hand. I'm really bad going up. That might be difficult to work with. So the 6/6 corners are safe, so I gotta check if he can set up against them. So the first 2 cards would need a 2 facing left, which he doesn't have, to be able to set up from below it, and 4. The next card would need a 7 left, which he doesn't have. The third card would need a 4, which he does. We'll come back to that. And the fourth card would need a 5, which he has. So to set up in 5 for both ways, we'll have to put a 4 or 5 to the left. 6, 2, 7, 4, and 5. He just cannot plus in 2. Or he could do the 5 to the left. 5, 7, 2, 5 will set him up. His 5, 4, 5, 6 will have 2. So 5, 7, 2, 5 is a good rejoinder, I think, to those starters. Now, if I can block 5, maybe I do threaten to go there, but I'm not sure that's something I can comfortably achieve here. So more limitedly, might just have trouble against a 6. So I'm thinking put one of the 2, 6, 6 corners in 7. With a 6 facing out, they can't deal with too easily, and I have multiple ways to recapture. Go for a half-strong starter that tries to give them a little difficulty. Dalamar has multiple ways to set up against it, but it will be pretty easy for me to recapture. I think that's what I'm going to do. Just have to pick between the 2. It seems like I should probably... 3, 6, 6, 5 seems stronger than 2, 4, 6, 6. But there are a lot of 6s running around and not many 7s. So I might keep on hold on the 2, 6, 6 one. Just because I think it has a little more plus wall potential later. It's a little harder for me to take. The difference between a 2 and a 3 facing up in 7 is fairly significant, because I will probably need to find a way to get rid of my 3, 5, 3, 7. That's what I'm thinking. I could also think about which corners they have, but doing a quick scan of those, there wasn't anything that popped out to me as got to defend against that. So yeah, let's try this one and see what's going on in the other games. Apologies for switching between games. I know that isn't a fun thing for some viewers, but I just want to do a little hopping around. It looks like Elemental Princess Sachi started with a side that they could retake both ways, but they actually don't have a good way to retake from 3 here, because 3, 6, 6, 5 covers that pretty well. So they're probably in a pretty tough situation. I would think Reddick has the advantage there. If we reload this page to see who else is playing. Looks like we've got Doomtrain versus DJ. That's a good matchup. Curious what'll happen there. Quick look at the hands. I think DJ looks a little weak to the right and maybe will be exploitable there. Looks like there might be some people joining who weren't in initially, so we might get Akiyama and Wingus. So something like 6, 6, 3, 4, and 9 doesn't quite annoy as much as I wanted it to. I wanted them to only be able to capture with the 5, 5, 4, 6, which we can combo back from 7, but they have a second capture. Alright, so I'm gonna hop to my game again, see if anything's happened. I'm gonna give warnings when I move between games, just because I don't want to bother anyone too much if they feel, you know, hopped around. But there's more games up, so we're going to do some quick hopping now. This game, yeah, so this is the trouble. You don't have a good move in 3, so you start trying to set stuff up, but you've given up 3 entirely, you've given up 9. This looks very good for Reddick. Over here, Doom Train does go in 9, and this does seem a nice way to take advantage of DJ's difficult directions. Not a great random for DJ. And we got a lot more games. So let's pop those open. We've got Sir Smoke's first Crescent. Sir Smoke's always a very good player, and kind of regardless of rule set. Crescent with the better hand here, though, I think. Not necessarily directionally great, but those 7/6/4s are very powerful. And we got Lewin versus Akiyama. Lewin is a new player, but has impressed so far. I think played pretty well. Not many power cards in either's hand. Lewin's looks a little better to me. Gonna check back in on my game. Hard to have big insight on the first turn when there isn't something dead obvious. Okay, hopping around games again. We don't have a move yet here. Is there anything obvious? The 6/7 corners aren't safe immediately. Neither is the 6/6 corner. So it would take more thinking. If you want to think about the position, feel free to pause, but I'm going to move on to the next game. Here, Lewin has started with a 6/6 corner. And it is a tough direction for Akiyama to deal with. It does look like they have a lot of ways their hand can play off each other, so I'd be very surprised if they couldn't set up. For instance, 6/3, 5, 5, and 5 sets up 2 cards to cover the sides. It does set up 7, 5, 4, 3 for Lewin, but it doesn't set up anything for Lewin in 8, though Lewin does have a different card to recapture there. But there's probably a lot of setups in 5. I would be tempted to, you know, pick one of the 5 moves here. This game, it does look like Reddick has a pretty big advantage. Just tough start for Sachi. The opening move didn't work and led pretty directly to a difficult position. And over here, we're still on our first move. Alright. Dalamar has set up in 5 for the side he couldn't cover, and he set up 1 card to have both sides. So this already could be unpleasant for me. One thing I notice is because he's blocked 5, I could potentially now play 2, 6, 6, 4, and 1, and he doesn't have a way to set up 2 against it, and his only capture from 4 is 5, 7, 2, 5, which he combos my card, and thus I can combo back in 2, because I have multiple ways to plus wall that. I think he could just stick something else in 4, though, and I'm giving up the free square for very little, so this is not a move that actually appeals to me. I also notice there's a 6 up, which means my 2, 6, 6, 4 could play really well. And I also notice he's running out of numbers that sort of go up and down, which makes me think if I went, say, 5, 7, 5, 3, and 6, he only has one way to capture it. On the other hand, it's really good. That 6, 2, 4, 6 would be safe, and I can't really occupy 8. And I don't have a good move in 3 there. So actually, I think I'm in trouble here. I think this is an unpleasant position, and I should concentrate. kind of want to go in 8. Seems like a square they have better than me. If I can block 8, probably not with my 5-7-5-3, but say with my 3-5-3-7. Maybe I can build out from there. Maybe I should just play my 5-7-5-3 and 4. That might be the way to do this. Because that's safe. Anything they have in that captures in 8, I can probably build out somewhere against. Specifically, they kind of have to use their 5-4-5-6, which is an annoying card for me to deal with in a lot of lines. I threaten a combo in 2 at some point. That looks promising. I like directing the game downwards. They have a lot of 5s up, so I also like the idea of I go in 4, they go in 8, I go in 9, and anything except their 6-2-4-6 has a 5 up there, and my 3-1-6-7 has the combo in 3, especially if I've gotten the 5-4-5-6 out of their hand so they can't combo back, and the 6 up, my 2-6-6-4 has the combo on. So I like the idea of blocking 4, and now I'm going to check in on the other games. Hope I didn't miss anything here. Over here, we have a few moves in the Smokes game. It looks like Crescent went with a center starter. I didn't see anything obvious, so that makes some sense. But Smokes jumped on the chance to get safety. It is interesting he chose to go in 6 versus 4. I'm not saying because that's good or bad. I just assumed there was a plan here. And I think the plan is that he threatens to play 4-4-4-7 in 9, right? He threatens to build out safety from this initial safety, and he wouldn't in either 1 or 7. So I think this is nicely handled, and whenever you see Smokes play, he just, makes logical moves. So Akiyama did go for 6-3-5-5-5, which we talked about. Lewin attacked immediately with safety, very similar to my plan in this game. Akiyama took back, but if Lewin can build out from this, something like 7-5-4-3 and 9, Lewin could have a 3-1 advantage in safe cards. And the 2-5-5-7 could prove really good at the end of the game. It's pretty easy to imagine Lewin going 7-5-4-3 in 9. Akiyama plays something with a 5 up in 6, because that's safe. Lewin plays 7-6-3-3 in 1 and just wins. That's just a win. So this looks really good for Lewin to me. Reddick indeed wins. We sort of thought that was coming. The starter didn't work. Here we have an L formation DJ has built that Doom Train doesn't have an attack on, so this is probably a pretty good L, and Doomy will have to find a precise move here. Is there any games we haven't looked at all? Nope, that looks like it's it. All right. He has taken back. My intent was to play... I drew the 5-4-5-6 out of his hand, and my intent, this is very similar to the Lewin vs. Akiyama game, was to play 3-5-3-7. And I don't really see a reason not to in 9. He can combo it or take it, but both ways I combo back to very good effect. I guess his important capture is he could play 6-2-4-6 and 6. And then if I combo immediately, I give up a plus and 2. And so there, I'd probably have to get the 3-1-6-7 out of my hand. Couple ways to do that. But maybe there's better. Now, I like leaving the top row open. I think he probably has a tie here, so maybe I should spend a little while looking. Specifically 6-2-4-6 and 6. I combo, he combos back. It doesn't work for me, so I have to play something like... I can play 3-1-6-7 in 1, and if he goes 2, I still have the combo and I win. If he doesn't go 2, I have a double capture. So this looks pretty strong to me. I will try it. What else do we got? Switching to the other games, I do forget to say I'm switching. So Crescent played in 4, and Smokes just took it. Now that card, every single way Crescent could take that is comboed back. But maybe more importantly, Crescent's never really going to have the option to play in 2 if Smokes doesn't want him to, because Crescent's almost certainly going to set up a formation by playing in 7 or 9, and then Smokes always has first access to 2. And importantly, he gave himself a plus there. So I think that's the real point of this move. If Crescent makes something like 6, 4, 2, 7, and 7, capturing the card in 4, Smokes can combo back. This looks very promising for Smokes. Yeah, Lewin wins. It did look like a win. Tough position. Really a strong move in 4 against the 5 play. Well played by Lewin. Really, really nice game from a new player. I think Lewin is a bit drawn to captures, as new players often are, and when they work out is going to have better results, of course, than when they don't. Doomy blocks 5 here, which is often the way to hold, and gives a safe card in 6. But very nicely played game. And I'm trying to play basically the same game he just played. Let's see what's going on in the chat. All right, it looks like Koner no longer is a buy. He's playing Wingus. All the rules are on, right? Yeah. Just made sure. So big upset in round 1 with Lewin taking out Akiyama. Akiyama has called this embarrassing and forgot that some of the rules were on. But I think Lewin played a nice game. And that's the kind of game it's easy to have trouble with, where you set something up in 5, but they can find a way to force the action. As I've said before, I think 5 moves are very likely to lead to decisive results either way. They just give so many options that it's so easy for a player to go wrong. I continue to think this looks very good for Smokes. This one looks like a tie, unless Doomy is just winning in 4. But he's not. So unless there's a cool setup in 1, I guess this looks like a tie. What else do we got? Those are the 3 games. So let's return to ours and see what Dal has found. I would so far pick Lewin's win for game of the round. Though I think I'm gonna, if I win this, I will have won a very similar game. Like exact same squares, exact same move order, exact same reasoning behind moves, except a little more combo stuff happening in this one. So Crescent does just block 2, decides to concede the 2 squares at the top to set up stuff on the bottom. This can be viable, but it's really hard when you've given up all your captures. And there's not a setup in 8. So, and there's neither of the cards are very good sweepers going side to side. So this should just be a win for Smokes. And I think he'll advance. Again, very good player. All right, pressure's on Dal. Can he find something? There's no safety anywhere, so there's not a free move. One thing he could think to do is try to set up, go in 3 and set up something in 2, but he doesn't actually have a setup there. One idea is if you go in 1, you draw a card out of my hand, and then you can play... one of my cards combos 5s, one of my cards combos 6s, so then you can play a card with the other number facing out of 6, but I don't think anything like that works here. He does go for that. And this will draw a card out of my hand. But he only has 5s left. So I can just use up the card that combos 6s. And I have the combo on either of his cards. And nicely, that card is also safe in 2. So he can't even take it from 3. So it looks to me like 2, 6, 6, 4, and 2 is a win. There may be other wins, but once you see a win and you verify it, there's no reason to maximize. So put me up 7-3. And I have the plus wall. All right. Yeah, Crescent saying felt he had no chance from the start. Yeah, this is a tough game. Smokes played really well, and it looks like Doomy has earned the tie here quite nicely. Good first game. This is going to be maybe the best match of the round. And I believe Koner is going to be playing, though the game hasn't been taken yet. Oh, no, it's not a tie. Yeah, no, I'm oblivious because he has the plus on both. Nice. Well played, Doomy. Ah, yes. Yes. Totally missed this. Good point. Because there's a plus wall on the 5, and there's a plus on the 4, and there's a sane in 4. Very nicely played by Doomy. Alright, my new pick for game of the round. Sneakily done. Precise calculation. Good play in 5, I think, too. Just well-handled game. And so GG. And yeah, claim an opening win. And yeah, looks like Koner's game is still up. I always want to pronounce it Kana, but I've just been told that's wrong. And Smoke takes 6-4, grabbing that same in 8. Well played. And Doomy grabs the 6-4. Very nicely played by Doomy as well. Some really convincing play in the win so far. Nothing where it's looked like that was a mess and you happened to sneak it out when they made a late mistake. But just, I think, well-played games. Like, I think in both my win over Dalamar and Lewin's win over Akiyama, basically after the third turn, if there was a save, it was something really tricky to find. I think very similar in the Smokes game, though a different formation. Doomy looked very cleverly, spotted his win against DJ. Well played games so far. So that is 4 decisive results. Do we have anything to watch now? Maybe not. If only I could edit video. Alright, let's watch the trade. I never know who's which color, so I don't know when I flip on a game like this what it's going to be. So we'll move off that. Ah, we have a game. All right. So just looking at the first 2 cards, the move that jumps out at me is 4, 7, 3, 5, and 4, but very similar to where, which game was it? The starter in 6 we saw that didn't work, to where Sachi went wrong. I think because 3, 6, 4, 7 covers outward 7s in 7, this is unlikely to be a good move. Let's look at the directions in the opponent's hand, because if we're first turn, we care kind of a little more about the opponent's directional strength than our own. Looks like 7, 7, 6, 7, so no obvious weaknesses there. Looking at my hand, I'd really want to get Bashura out of my hand. I just don't like the 4, 5, 4, 5. I also think we're a bit better going up than going down, clearly, and also want the game directed side to side. So, where does that lead us? Can't really play 4, 5, 4, 5, and 6 because that gives up safety to 9 if they want it, though it does draw a very powerful card out of their hand. I'd probably be thinking 4, 5, 4, 5, and 3. Looks like we can start the second round while the first one's going. Nice. Oh god. Oh god. The next rule set has no combo, and worse, it has elemental. Oh, what a nightmare. Well, the good news is, if Koner wins this game against Wingus, Koner said they have to leave early. So if we tie a bunch, I can sneak out a win without actually having won. So this is going to be my game plan. And we'll see where we go from there. So people can start their second round games. I have been paired against the winner of Koner Wingus in round 2, so I can't start my game. And Smokes is playing Lewin, and Reddick is playing Doom Train. Smokes doesn't seem to think it's so bad, but also Smokes is good at every rule set. So I like level 8. Level 8's always so strange because if you think about max numbers available, you know, level 3 and 4, the max number on both is 7. Also level 2, the max number is 7, I guess. Level 5, the max number is 7. Level 6, the max number is 8. Level 7, the max number is 8. Level 9 and 10, the max number is 10. But level 8 is in the sweet spot where it is the only level where the max number is 9. And because there's only one level to cover it, it means there are tons of number combos like 9861 that just do not exist and would be viable and potentially useful on the set. And there's a bunch of things that just don't exist because there's only one level making up all the cards with 9 as the maximum number available. And so it can have cards that I think do interesting, different things than is allowed for at other levels, but also hands can feel really clunky and disconnected because so many different numbers are available. You'll see things like a 9911 that is just mostly uncomboable on the backside. And Smokes just hadn't realized that combo was off when he thought the rule set wasn't so bad. So Kana does go in 4, which is interesting. I had ruled that out due to the response in 1. What's Koner's idea? So my first thought was maybe they're thinking of putting something lower facing out like a 6, and they have a combo on the 3647, but they don't. So it is not obvious to me what the plan is. At this point, I would probably try and sort of bail and maybe play the 4545 and 7. Sometimes there's moves in 6 here. That's fancy, but if you can make a threat in 5, you have potential ways to set up a T sometimes, and if they block 5, maybe they have to set you up in 2. So there can occasionally be moves there, but this is a tough situation. I'm very curious to see what Koner does. I'm going to switch over to another game. We got Smokes Lewin, and is there any other games going? There's the Reddit game. Yeah, that's our 3rd game. Okay, so we got 3 games going, as we should. Doom Train Reddick. A lot of 9-9 corners for Reddick. A lot of 9-9 corners for Doomy. Are the 9-9s covered? The 8-3, 8-7's probably going to play pretty well here with, 9-9 corners for 1 in both players' hands. Of course, Doomy has the 2-8-7, so he's got that covered as well. These are very similar hands. They both have 2 9-9 corners. They both have a 8x 8-7. They both have exactly the 6-8-1-9. And the difference is a 6-8-2-9, which is pretty redundant and probably pretty bad here, versus a 9-4-4-8. So I would favor Doomy here. They've gone strong corners. I suspect I will be chucking out a weak corner in my game, but we'll see what the cards look like. Lewin's still thinking. So let's check the obvious. The 1199 is well covered. The 2986 is actually kind of interesting on the elemental, because stuff on or next to elementals, of course, has big effects. I should say, I like to look over the games afterwards, but I will not be able to look at games afterwards with elemental on the program I have, because it can't run elemental. So any of the games in this round I will not be able to do extensive checks on, which means I am free to play very badly because I won't have to be angry at myself after. Alright, still flipping around, sorry. I had said I was going to try to give warning whenever I flipped and not do so, but I don't think I have the discipline to do so. So there's just going to be flipping. So in general, in closed no combo, which I've been making videos about and maybe up before this one, I have talked about how first turn really wants stuff to be easy to capture, and second turn wants stuff to be difficult to capture and should be kind of constantly setting up challenges, like stuff, you can't take this, you can't take that. Now, I'm not sure there's a great way to here, but I think that should be the thought process in open as well. Lewin likes these side starters, and it does not concede immediate safety to smokes. So that is one thing in its favor. Not immediately seeing a move for smokes that looks intuitively obvious. Both players, it should be noted, due to the stupid elemental, have captures from 5. I haven't complained about elemental yet here during this video. Elemental is horrible. Never play with elemental. Interesting that Wingus didn't just grab 8 and go ambitious. They decided to further lock in their card, but their card was already safe. But the reason they did this is they created a threaten 5 as well as the threaten 8. And we can easily imagine a finish where Koner blocks 5, let's say the dumb way with 4-5-4-5, and Wingus goes an 8 with 3-6-4-7, Koner takes back with 3-6-1-7 and 9, and Wingus wins with 5-4-6-3 and 6, and 5-7-5-2 is left dead with no captures. But I sort of think this was a little bit letting Koner off the hook. And I'm not sure why I think that, because this sets up a threat in 5 and the move in 8 didn't. So this is probably the better move. I just feel after 5-7, 2-5, and 5 that the game will find its way to a tie. And I don't really have a analysis for that. I just sort of feel it. Just captures. So Doomy will be the first to lock in a card here and has multiple ways to do so, but none of them set up a threat in 5. Both the recaptures, if Reddick follows up in 7, Doomy can be left without a capture. This was a very good move. I got who was playing reversed. I think Reddick is now in trouble. I think Doomy played a really nice move, and this is a difficult spot for Reddick. And they don't even have safety with a 9 in 1. But they do have safety with an 8, but it doesn't capture due to the elemental. They have safety, but okay, very interesting. We have an L here. Now, Lewin did not have the capture in 8, so he gave it to himself. Lewin is out of leftward power. So how can you take advantage of that if you're smokes? Not sure, actually, but I kind of think that the T is going to be a tie. Right? So if you play something like 7, 5, 9, 4, and 6, and I think you are looking to tie here, and they go 1, 1, 9, 9, and 3, you can play 5, 6, 7, 8, and 2. They have no capture on that. They play 8, 3, 7, 7, and 8. You can capture that back with 6, 8, 8, 3, and you have a tie. So that would be kind of my guess of how that plays out. And he has played 7, 5, 9, 4, and 6. So presumably thinking similarly and calculated the same things. Koner gives up 5. So either precise calculation or the position's just busted. I would have blocked 5, or at least, I didn't do extensive calculation. I suspect I would have blocked 5. But also, that 3-6-1-7 could be a good side-to-side sweeper, but you're down 6-4. You're down 6-4. So let's just go through the moves. 5, 7, 5, 2, and 8. You're still down 6-4. They block 4. You lose. 3, 6, 1, 7, and 8. They block 4, you lose. What about going in 4? 5, 7, 5, 2, and 4? Is that the time? Huh, okay, I think he survived. No, because what am I saying? You're down 6-4. They take another card in 8. It's 7-3. No, that doesn't work. 3, 6, 1, 7, and 6 doesn't work. I don't see 9 working. I think this is lost. Nicely played by Wingus. I think a good L and Koner's starter, very similar to the starter we saw earlier, just didn't work in the Sachi game. Same idea. Okay, so Redix found an idea. They give up the card in 1, but they get to keep the card in 2. But now Doom Train has 1 and 3 in a no-combo game. It can be really tough to catch up from that, unless you have great sweepers. They have these good side-to-side cards, but I'm not sure those will quite be good enough sweepers. I would give Doomy a pretty big advantage here. This game, I think Lewin's trying to find a win. I don't think it's there. I think Smokes has held this comfortably. He's recognized the right weakness and he's playing cards on the right side. I think this is smart and even potential to get to play for a win, because I easily might have missed something and it might turn out that, you know, blocking 8 before 2 is actually a winning path. Yeah, Koner loses. Really well played by Wingus. Koner's a great, one of the best players ever, one of the 10 best ever. Still getting back into form, but nicely played by Wingus. Really took advantage of a starter. I think Koner needed to block 5, but I'm not 100% sure. So we have 2 games still going. Lewin goes in 1, not 3. So Smokes has safety in 3. So to me, the obvious path here is go in 3. If Lewin blocks 2, you go in 8 and you win. Notably, each of Lewin's cards, if say Smoke starts with 3, 6, 9, 7, and 3, each of Lewin's cards in 7 can take one of the cards in 8, but not the other. So because Lewin has to use up one of them in 2, and I think they probably do have to use up one of them in 2. Maybe they're planning to meet 3 with 1, 1, 9, 9, and 7, but then Smokes can go in 8. 3 looks like a win to me. And Smokes plays it. Smokes, always so good. Yeah, so 7 makes sense, forcing Doomy to have to go in 5. Doomy doesn't have to be too careful which cards he plays in 5. None of them set up Reddick in 6, but should calculate out each one because he's clearly playing for a win here. And it does look pretty close to a win. For instance, if he goes 9, 1, 1, 9, and 5, and Reddick goes either card in 8, he has 8, 2, 8, 7 in 6, and he wins. If Reddick goes either card in 6, he has 6, 8, 1, 9 in 8, and because he double captures, he wins. So unless they have something clever in 9, I think Doomy's through to the final 3. I also think Smokes is through to the final 3, and I will be playing Wingus, so I should put up the game. I forgot. Alright, create game. Open, private, same, plus wall, random, elemental, 5 minutes, level 8, all decks, and we cry. Blocks 8 immediately, but that doesn't much help. Smokes can now play in 2. Not much choice, though. I think everything was just a loss here. Another very nicely played game by Smokes. Been very convincing so far. Gonna check my history because the Koner game was never posted. Yeah. So congrats to Smokes. Potentially congrats to Doomy. Doomy does not go in 5. Doomy goes in 8. Well, this is a whole new ball game. But it looks pretty similar, doesn't it? Yeah, that looks like a win. Can't complain. And Smokes has played in 2. Will advance to the final rounds. I love it when Dalamar breaks into other people's chats. Superpower. Many conversations here. Wow, just keeps going. Aw, thanks, Smokes. I appreciate that. That was a pretty competitive chess game, though, and yeah, really appreciate it. Thank you. And Smokes is through. Yeah. Just incredibly good player. If you look at Smokes' tournament history, basically the problem is he kept playing Yojimbo. And whenever he didn't play Yojimbo, he ran really well versus everyone else. But he had something like, he drew Yojimbo like 7 times in tournaments and just lost to Yojimbo, which is no shame at all because Yojimbo is, you know, say one of the best 3 ever at kind of worst. And, you know, one matchup he couldn't win against one of the very, very best. And other than that, Smokes plowed really most people, or if not plowed, ran even against the other greats. Fantastic player, and one thing I really like about Smokes' play is I think it doesn't really matter the rule set. He does well, you know, he prefers combo and does well with it, but as you saw here, he plays well without combo. He plays really well on closed rule sets. I think it's a real shame he didn't get in enough games to play the GB, that he ended up not having time. But just whatever the rule set is, he plays well. He's a closed trade player. He's a, you know, plays open. He plays everything. So, yep, we get our win for Doom Train. And so 2 of the 3 finalists are determined. And hopefully Wingus takes our game at some point. I should have a window open to watch the others. So let's pop that. So maybe they'll start their finals and we'll have something to watch and then we'll have to play 2 games. But maybe I should split this video in 2. So let's stop it here and I will start recording the next round. Conor says, should probably play some actual games before entering these. Good point.